Hello and welcome to Near Dark Podcast, episode 62. Almost forgot it. And today we are gonna talk about the Slumber Party Massacre from 1982. But before we do that, let's welcome the rest of the crew. Together with me I have Josef and Ogge. I myself am Zombie. And let's move into recently seen.
Which we don't have any. We are doing some time traveling right now. When you are listening to this, we recorded it. It's been 3 weeks since we recorded it. And we are recording it back to back with the Leprechaun 3 episode as well. So there are no recently seen on this episode, unfortunately.
Which is sad, but it is what it is.
We can talk about the weather instead.
We can. Which has been very windy. Like extremely windy.
Yeah, and it snowed last night as well.
Here we have spring.
Yeah.
The winter is gone over here. So that's good.
Asshole.
Lucky.
Yeah, I'm not complaining.
Bastard. Son of a bitch.
It
If
disappeared
it's not
in like a week.
snowing over here, it's just so windy that it feels like it's snowing all over again.
Well, it snowed last night, but most of it is gone now.
You need to go and visit Ogge some.
Yeah.
And I just want to welcome our listeners to Near Dark Weather Podcast.
And next we'll introduce you to Near Dark News.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, should we roll the trailer then?
That we shall.
Yeah.
Let's roll the trailer.
For the Slumber Party Massacre.
The basketball team is planning a party. A slumber party. The party begins at 8 o'clock.
Love it too. Do you think I'm getting better?
But be on the lookout for an uninvited guest.
Please, please.
When the pizza arrives, things really start jumping. Some people may have to leave early. But others will hang around and hang around.
You're underage. Negative. Let's go.
I'm not gonna eat the dead guy's pizza.
I feel better already. Really, I do.
But for those who stay, there'll be plenty of surprises. And non-stop action. One thing's for sure, no one's getting any sleep the night of the Slumber Party Massacre. Close your eyes for a second and sleep forever.
A newly escaped serial killer quickly turns what was supposed to be a high school slumber party into a bloodbath as his victims fight for their survival. And I want to hear from Ogge first. What did you think of this movie?
This was actually quite entertaining to watch. Usually I don't like this types of movies that much, but this has a pretty high pace and it was all around pretty entertaining and had a surprisingly high tempo for like a slasher type movie. Yeah, overall it's a good movie. I don't know. Yeah, I liked it. What about you, Josef?
I don't have that much to say about it either, to be honest.
Huh.
Was this a first time watch for you, by the way, Ogge?
Yeah, it was. I remember watching a sequel. I saw like the ending of it. I have no idea which one it was, but it was a guy with some Indian mask killing people with a drill. So it has to be a sequel to this movie.
Indian mask.
Yeah, he was using a drill, but the drill had a cable, so he had to find like a power outlet.
Usual serial killer problems.
I don't
Yeah.
think that's a sequel to this. I've seen the sequels. I can't remember that.
Really?
It might.
So
Yeah.
there's
I don't know. I don't know.
there's
I
a
don't-
police chasing him, and he's like outside on a stakeout on some girl. I don't know if she's having a slumber party or if she's home alone, and he sees the girl fighting the killer in some weird mask. I think it's an Indian mask. And when he runs in the bottom floor, he managed to kill the girl by dragging her to like a power outlet, plugging the drill in, and then killing her. And when the police runs in, he can see like the drills goes through the roof and there's blood pouring down from the hole. So I thought that was a sequel to this movie. When I watched it.
Well,
Well, it sounds fun.
yeah, it does. It
Yeah,
really
I-
does. So you need to check what that is. I don't think it's a sequel to this, but
Yeah.
it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I want to watch the whole movie, but I have that's all I remember from it. So I was hoping that, now I can finally see it. But nope.
Bummer.
I'm gonna look into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, my thoughts. This was a rewatch for me, obviously. And I've seen it and its sequels a couple of times, and yeah, I really love this movie. I think it's overall fun with a lot of silly dialogue. There's some really ridiculous moments, like the scene when one of the girls places the pizza box on top of the dead pizza guy, and he starts to eat pizza. I mean, like you would have done in real life.
As you do.
As you do. But at the same time, the movie got some darker elements to it as well. As well as some really gruesome murders, of course. With darker elements, I mean the scenes when Ross Thorne is talking to the movie's killer, which I think we should talk a little bit about, a little bit more about in a bit. The acting is overall okay, I'd say. We were reviewed movies with a hell of a lot worse acting than this. Looking at Leprechaun 3, and I also think that the effects holds up pretty well. Besides the very plasticky fire poker towards the end, when the coach is hitting Russ Thorne with it, it bounces off him if you look closely at one point. And I think the movie's running time benefits the movie for what it sets out to do as well. Since there are almost no filler in it, and the whole movie is very to the point, which makes it which makes it a quick and sweet watch, like you mentioned, Ogge.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I love this movie, and to be honest, I was actually really surprised, but at the same time happy that you picked it, Zombie.
Nice.
It's a short, gory, and fun slasher movie, which I feel like I should revisit more often. To be honest, it's been like 8-ish years since I saw it last time. So, but yeah, but what rating did you give it, by the way, Ogge?
I hadn't decided. I'm thinking
Oh.
a 7.
Okay.
Something like that, like high mid tier, something.
Yeah.
Yeah, around a 7, I would say. It's
Yeah. Well, my rating will be a 10 out of 10. I really think this movie is super entertaining. Your thoughts, Zombie? What do you think about this?
I think I had a bit of a bad run-in of the movie. Not because of the movie itself, but because I was very stupid when I watched it, because I didn't look at the source how long it was where I watched it, and so in the beginning of the movie it had cut out like one kill, which confused me in the rest of the movie, and so I got a bit too focused on the confusion of that.
Oh.
Which also the quality of the movie was like potato quality, and so I did like the movie, even though it had those confusing elements, which is no fault of the movie on its own, and it was to the point. It had nice kills, and as earlier mentioned, it didn't really prolong any scenes unnecessarily, and I really did like the scene where he talked, as later mentioned.
Earlier mentioned.
Yeah, we're gonna mention it later.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, and I honestly think I need to rewatch the movie to see it in its full potential in better quality without anything cut out, because I really I did like it for what it was, but at the same time my first watch of it did suffer because of it. But
this movie is on Amazon Prime, and I think the sequels are too.
Nice. But yeah, for what it was quick watch. Nothing, in my opinion, special about it, but it was good, and I'll give it, for now, I will say I will give it a 5.5. But if I watch it again in a better quality, it will most likely get a higher opinion.
Okay. So I'm gonna give you a little something to do until the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
Rewatch this movie in a better quality.
Yeah, and I'll give my opinion about it again.
I think you will appreciate it more when you see it in a good quality, and you don't have a murder cut out of the movie.
Yeah, I feel like the low scoring is not because of the movie itself, but because of my own stupidity here. In all honesty.
But which murder was cut out? What was the very first one, or?
It was the second one, which made me very confused later in the movie when he mentioned how many murders he had, and I was like counting on my head, like it doesn't add up. I didn't see it, and I didn't like hear it, the murder, because
you talk about Linda, right? The girl who
I
gets
think
killed
Linda, yeah.
in
The school.
yeah, in the gymnasium.
Yeah, and like
That is a off-screen kill.
yeah, but because of how the movie was cut in my watching, it looked like she was still in hiding and maybe even have gotten away by association of that.
Yeah, well, that scene is made like he drills through the door, and then it shows the outside of the school, and he comes running.
Yeah, because it is supposed to be like he drills through a door and you hear her scream,
Yeah.
and like that is associated with killing. But that scene was missing from my watch, so she was still like hiding. Just grabbed the towel, and it cut out to him running out of the school, and it was like, she
Oh,
was still
okay.
alive.
So you didn't see him drill through the door.
No, not even that. So
Oh.
she just grabbed the towel, and then he ran out the school, and it was like, wait, what? Did
Wow.
she survive because of that?
Wow.
And that confused me greatly when he said his own body count, and I just counted on my hand like several times.
Yeah. Wow. You gotta watch this in a better cut version.
Yeah, when I can actually see the faces.
But may I ask where you were watching? You on YouTube or?
I found it on the tube, and then I actually found it later in better quality, full movie, and I got so mad at myself when I found it again.
Okay. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, rewatch it in a better quality until the next episode. Because I'm curious to hear what you have to say about it.
Yeah, definitely.
After seeing it in a proper quality.
Yeah. Which was the best kill or best good-looking kill in you guys' opinion? Because there are a lot of like off-screen kills in this one.
Yeah, there is, but I would say the coach when he slices up her stomach
Nice.
and her intestines just bleh.
Mm. Glorious. Oggy?
There's one kill towards the end where he just drilled someone. That I especially liked. I also kind of liked, the first kill. It's really corny and it should have annoyed me, but it didn't. Where there's two guys talking to a girl, and then as soon as they turn the back, she just grabs her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't notice anything.
Yeah, they're like, duh.
It just happened so quickly, too.
Yeah, like they should have heard her screaming, but whatever.
There were very thick glass on that car.
Yeah, it's soundproofed.
Yeah.
For some reason.
For some reason.
Yeah.
Well, there are, like I said, there are some really funny moments and ridiculous moments in there.
Yeah.
Another one I like is when Diane is walking home and someone is following her, and when she bends down, someone puts his hand on her shoulder, and she just flips him over onto the ground, and it turns out to be her boyfriend. And he's like, "Holy shit! I think you broke my back."
Like, no mercy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that scene is absolutely glorious.
Mm.
Yeah.
But yeah, the darker elements, like I mentioned earlier, I prefer my slasher villains to be masked and unknown. But there was something with the Russ Thorne character that struck me this time while I was watching the movie. His performance, I mean, the whole character is pretty creepy.
Yeah, like even if you can't see his face all of the time throughout the movie, once you see it, it's still like very motionless and just
He looks very psychotic.
yeah,
And the scene when he talks to Trish, and I actually picked out the quote here. He says, "You're pretty. All of you are very pretty. I love you. It takes a lot of love for a person to do this. You know you want it. You like it. Yes." I mean,
Yeah.
that scene is
That
it's a pretty
sounds-
big. It's a pretty big contrast to the rest of the film, because the rest of the film, sure, there are gruesome murders in it, sure, but it got this fun vibe to it.
mm,
But then they have thrown things like that into the mix as well.
yeah. That adds to the creepiness of the character he portrays, because like it is also very real.
Yeah,
It's just very real thing that someone would say in that like moment of like relentless, emotionless killing.
I think it has something to do with like a suppressed sexuality or something, and I might just be overthinking this, but you could say that the drill is Russ Thorne's metaphorical penis.
Mm.
Yeah.
So at the end, when the girls chop it off, they basically cut his dick off, sort of.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
And,
Yeah.
I don't know where it came from, but it was just something that struck me this time I was watching it. But it feels like he's in some sort of psychotic, suppressed sexuality, and at the end, the feminine heroes rise up to destroy the threat. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Or you could just say that it's a slasher movie about a maniac with a power drill, of course. But yeah.
I really like that take on the movie, actually.
I don't know if the scriptwriter had that in mind to have like an underlying meaning to the script, but yeah, I don't know. I might just be overthinking it.
And actually, when he starts talking, it kind of like ties in a bit with the doll that we see earlier in the movie.
Yeah,
kind
but
of.
the doll, was that Russ who took the doll, or was it the neighbor? I didn't really.
I don't think we really saw it, but
Because they find the doll stuck to the window with the neighbor's meat axe.
yeah. Was that before or after the neighbor got killed?
I think it was after.
Yeah. Because in that case, the neighbor could have taken it either because, like, childhood memories or something, I don't know.
Or he's obsessed with the neighbor's girl
Yeah,
or something. I don't know.
in a creepy way. But also, like, in that case, the murderer could have taken it from his house and put the meat cleaver in.
Mm.
Simply put.
Well,
Because
yeah.
it seems very unlikely that the killer could have taken it because the neighbor was still outside when she left and it got grabbed in a way. And
I don't know, but I think it might have been Russ that he somehow saw Trish and followed her to the school and then followed her back
Yeah.
home later on.
yeah, and it again with him talking, it really ties back to the fact that it was planned to be them from the start because he grabbed the doll, and again with talking about how she was pretty, it didn't come out of nowhere, it was planned.
Mm.
And yeah, the things he is saying in that moment is very much like you've heard those words before, which makes them like recognizable and eerie in the same way, especially in the context he is talking to or talking about.
Yeah, it might be a suppressed memory or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. There are probably not that much thought thrown into the script, really. But
I think it's very nice that it might not have intentionally done anything, but it have like small things that makes one able to still like analyze it
yeah,
and still just enjoy it for just being a slasher movie at the same time.
I was not expecting us to analyze underlying themes of this movie, to be honest.
Neither did I. Like,
neither was I. But
like
this time around, I was started, since I've seen it a couple of times before. I started to just think about everything else. They just
Yeah.
concentrating 100% on the movie, and then I was like,
And speaking of, I really did like how I don't remember her name. It might have been Valerie. No.
the neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
really
was
like
Valerie.
how in the end she just came charging in like there was no tomorrow with a machete and just like fight me, bro.
Yeah, she's just swinging.
Yeah, like no mercy.
Yeah, she's just coming in swinging like a mad woman.
Yeah, it took me a bit off guard and how he had to like back away because she was ready, she was prepared, and he didn't like that. That was his weakness, someone that actually was prepared for his drill. And yeah,
What do you guys think about the scene when Trish and I think she was called Kim, the blonde girl,
yeah,
when they are in the bedroom, and they've barricaded themselves in the bedroom, and you can see in the background how Russ is climbing into the window.
yeah, I like that you could see it as they were see him as they were talking. It was very much a classical thing of turn around, kind of feel over it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, why don't you sit with your back against each other? Kind of feel. But it was very nice how you could just see the movements behind and then piece together that it was him.
I actually think that's one of the most suspenseful scenes in the entire film, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's scenes in this film where it gets really dark, or where it's dark at least. But then they kind of throw in a little gag here and there.
Yeah.
Like, it was starting to get pretty dark and like suspenseful. But then he locked that girl into the fridge, and they opened it, and I closed, and it was like, yeah, like really goofy.
I like that scene.
Yeah, she's opening the fridge, closes it, opens it, closes it, opens it, closes it.
Yeah. I was almost expecting them to just continue with that and not actually let them see the body.
Yeah, I think that would have worked a little bit better. Like they just open it, close it, open it, close it, and just do that like 5 times, and then they just walk away. That would have been a lot more funny, but
yeah, maybe then later discovering it by trying to hide in the fridge
yeah.
or something.
Yeah,
That was one of my favorite moments actually in the movie.
Yeah, I also thought they were not gonna notice
That in the
her.
window.
So at one point I thought it was funny, but also I was like, they fucked up the suspense.
They did.
Well, the thing with this movie is that it was written as a spoof of the slasher film, but as a parody, yeah. But the production company, I think, or if it was the producer, Roger Corman, made it into a more straight-ahead, serious slasher film, even though the jokes that were in the original script is still there.
Yeah.
So that's why it's kind of all over the place with the suspense.
Yeah, it was written as a parody, but filmed as a real slasher.
Yeah.
With the same script.
Yeah. And
Which
I think it works really well. And like I mentioned earlier, with the running time being so short, it's quick and sweet and to the point. And it shouldn't work, but it does for some reason.
Like it works surprisingly well, like knowing this fact. Like, but then when mentioned, you can also see it, but it still doesn't really destroy the movie.
Yeah, well, if you don't know it, you don't notice it. You probably wonder why there are a lot of jokes in there.
Yeah.
But if you know it, you really see it. But by the way, another thing I thought was pretty funny was the scene when the coach comes home. And she's about to unlock the door, and all of a sudden a big power drill comes through the door. And it turns out to be some construction worker or whatever.
Yeah, like, I'm just doing this peephole, and then just drilled through and did nothing else with the peephole.
Yeah.
Just leaving a hole in the door.
Yeah, as you do.
As you do.
Yeah.
Because that's how peepholes work.
Yeah, that gag was kind of like out of place, I think.
Yeah, well, it was probably a product of the original script.
Most likely.
And it's not called a construction worker. It was a handy woman. Oh no. But yes.
Is there any other scenes anyone would like to mention or talk about?
The climax.
Yes.
Holy shit, Russ Thorne gets fucked up.
Yeah, like no cap, like I don't remember her name, but she just straight up stabbed him while just running in while he was down.
Yeah, well, first they cut off his drill bit, and then they cut off his hand. He falls into the pool, gets up, gets the machete through the stomach, and then he gets stabbed.
Yeah. They made sure that he was dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they did the mistake of leaving him in the pool. Nah, not again.
We gotta make sure.
Yeah.
One thing that I was wondering was, and this is also towards the end, when he hides all of the bodies, and then he goes and lays down on the living room floor, and puts a blanket over his face. What was that about?
I think it is because they covered up the pizza guy that way, and so he was trying to hide as the body of the pizza guy,
Oh!
and maybe hide from the girl in the house and think that's the guy we covered up, and then he can be like, psych, gotcha, kind of deal.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I gathered at the very least.
Yeah.
Because he dragged him away just before that, and they did talk about covering him up, while one of the girls just grabbed a pizza box like, I still need to eat.
Okay, yeah. To be honest, I always wondered why he did that. I never understood it, but yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I did wonder for a second as well, but then like, pizza guy. But yeah, easy to miss because of all the other things that happens in the movie.
Yeah. Well, there are tons of things happening, so...
Plus, I'm not entirely sure we actually saw him covered up. It was just that they mentioned it, and they may have done it without actually showing that they did it.
Yeah.
Which might also have added to the confusion of the whole thing.
Yeah. It might have been like a snippet or something that was left on the cutting room floor, perhaps.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
In all of its silliness.
It's like a great movie both to have in the background or just if you just want to watch something but not like invest a lot of time in it and just have something short but still not bad.
Yeah.
Because it had a lot of bodies and a lot of kills. Some of them were unfortunately off camera, but they still showed like to some of those off kills, at least the pizza guy, they showed just how he was murdered. Not really sure how he did it. It would have been nice to see it, but he was there and we saw him several times.
Well, the same thing applies to like Friday the 13th, the first one. There are a couple of off-screen kills in that movie as well.
Yeah.
But they show some of the kills. You know, they split up off-screen and on-screen.
And that kind of like we won't show you him getting killed, but we at least show you like the body afterwards, which is something. I think it's at the very least better than just not showing at all. And it worked for the movie.
Yeah. But I think that has more to do with the budget than anything else.
Yeah, definitely. Because otherwise you'll have to add a lot of effects and blood and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice little movie to watch.
I'm very, very interested in hearing what you guys think about part 2. Because that's a completely different film than the first one.
Ooh.
And you guys will understand when you see it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
But, what did you say, Ogge?
I said, uh-oh.
Well, we'll just have to find out if it's for the better or the worse when that episode comes up.
Mhm.
I think we will talk about both the second and the third movie at some point.
Yeah, well, there are 2 spin-off films as well.
Ooh.
Cheerleader Massacre from 2003, I think. And there's a sequel to that one as well, Cheerleader Massacre 2. When it was released, I can't remember, but they're not very good.
Ooh. Oh well.
But yeah, should we move into background perhaps?
I think we should.
I don't have that much else to say about it really.
Yeah.
I thought this would be a pretty short episode because I didn't have that much to say about it personally, but yeah.
Like, I only have 2 note things that I put on to the list, which is, my brain was kind of dead at some point in the movie, because I was, I guess, tired, because I just wrote hyunk, goose lamp, because I saw a goose lamp. And then the fact that I need to rewatch it. So I don't have anything else to say about it. Augie?
I don't have a whole lot to say about it either. I liked it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually thought Ogge would enjoy this one.
Yeah, I did. I didn't think I was gonna enjoy it. But
Well,
yeah, I thought it was gonna be a bit too goofy, but it balanced it out pretty well with with the darker sides.
Yeah, the darker elements.
Yeah. And it did actually have suspense. And even though when they were like goofing around and stuff, it didn't get to like that cringe level, like a certain other movie. Very recently.
so it was definitely a step up from the last episode.
Yeah, I should. If I would have, I watched this movie before the other one, and if I would done the opposite, I would probably give this an even higher.
To truly appreciate it.
Yeah. So I could have boosted the grade of it. But yeah, it's definitely a good movie. So it's, there's not that many flaws in it. So, but it's not like to me, it's not like a perfect movie because of.
It's good. It's good for what it is.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good and entertaining horror movie.
Yeah.
Simple yet good.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's a pretty simple but good movie, and it has a very good pace, and that's pretty rare for slasher movies in my opinion. Because usually, what can make a slasher movie fall apart, it's usually the pacing.
Yeah, there are slasher movies that are very slow, and there's really no suspense. It's just they just have this quote unquote transportation part of the film, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Like that is usually like when I see a slasher I don't like, that is like the first thing. Like that's usually the main thing that makes me dislike the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the worst thing a movie can do is being boring.
Yeah.
In a slasher movie that has pacing problems, usually are a sin in the subgenre.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like a murder every 5 minutes or so, but it has to have something going for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like suspense or, stalking or whatever. Something needs to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Something to keep you invested in what's
Yeah.
going on and what's going to happen.
Yeah. I love slasher movies, but I can agree with Ogge that some of them have some serious pacing problems.
Yeah. Well, usually a slasher movie, it's usually about a killer of some sort, whether it's a monster or a psychopath or whatever. And that kind of falls apart when there's like an hour, a consistent hour where it's not even in the movie, and it's about something completely different.
Yeah.
When they try to develop
Have a separate
develop
story.
the characters,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I'm not interested in the least bit.
Yeah. Like the movie is really about the serial killer, and not so much. Like even in like long franchises, they tend to replace like every character but the killer. So clearly he's the most important.
Yeah, like the Friday the 13th
Yeah.
series or Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween.
Yeah.
Like has become kind of like a thing with slasher or just horror movies in general, is that it is about the killer and nothing else, actually. Even if movies want to pretend that it's not. And it is about the survivors. Because it's not too often, again, I'm speaking with no experience, but it's not too often that they do bring back characters from earlier
Installments.
movies. Yeah, from earlier installments of the franchise.
In Halloween, you got Jamie Lee Curtis' character, which returns in
Yeah.
the second one, and in H2O and Resurrection and the 2018 movie.
Yeah.
And you also got the Thorn trilogy with Jamie as a returning character.
It must really be something special about that character if they're not the killer for them to actually return in later installments.
Yeah, and in the Friday the 13th series, you got Tom Jarvis in the Jarvis trilogy, which is part 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
And in Nightmare on Elm Street, you got Nancy, who returns in part 3, and you got Alice in part 4 and 5.
Nice.
But yeah, it's not like there is a character that gets created for the first movie that returns in all of the sequels in any of the series.
Yeah.
So.
And usually when they return, it's special.
And with the Friday the 13th movies, you kind of root for the for Jason. You know.
Yeah.
You don't sit down and watch a Friday the 13th movie to root for the teenagers.
No.
I mean, you watch a slasher movie to see murders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what I mentioned with the Halloween, where you had Halloween 3, which took out Michael Myers out of it, and it became a totally different movie than from the two before it. And they later returned him to the franchise, and it kind of became like, yeah, they tried to make it not about a serial killer, but clearly that wasn't a lasting concept.
Yeah, well, with Halloween 3, and we've already talked about this on that episode, people didn't understand why Michael Myers wasn't in Halloween 3.
Yeah.
And that's why it basically bombed. The people wanted a third Halloween installment with Michael Myers. But I think that the concept of Halloween 3 is really good, with a new story for each new installment, and that would have been really interesting to see.
Yeah. If they kept going with it, it would have been something different where they might have a killer that returns for more than one movie,
Yeah.
but not have it become like Friday or Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
But it didn't succeed in the long run.
No.
Yeah.
And Halloween 3 got Tom Atkins.
Ooh. But we have strayed a bit far from Slumber Party, so I think we should move on to trivia at this point.
Yeah, I don't mind that we get sidetracked though. It's
Not
interesting
at all.
to just discuss things like this.
Yeah, I don't mind either.
It really is nice to just wander out a bit to talk about these topics because it's still stemmed from the movie in the first place.
Yeah.
So
Well,
It
if
didn't start out
if it
nothing.
wasn't for Halloween and Friday the 13th, the Slumber Party Massacre wouldn't probably exist.
yeah,
So. But yes, background. Did you have anything, Zombie?
again, I don't really have much, and most of the things we have mentioned, such as it being written as a parody in the first place, but also a few things that haven't been mentioned is that its first draft didn't have the name Slumber Party Massacre, but it was called Don't Open the Door. And that the actor, Michael Villela, thank you. His acting of the serial killer came and was so creepy as it was because he deliberately isolated himself from the other cast members and avoided talking to them during the entire shooting of the movie, or from the majority of the movie at the very least.
Yeah.
And he, by that isolation, really got into the, I wouldn't say mindset, but he really got into the character he was playing, which I think really showed.
Yeah.
And
There are other examples of actors who has done the same thing, like Ted White in Friday the 13th, the final chapter. He did the exact same thing, and he kept to himself during the shoot, and he didn't speak to anyone.
yeah, which is very interesting. And the only other last thing I have is that the entire score of the movie was made on a Casio synthesizer, if I can pronounce it correctly,
Yeah.
which is a
basically
which is basically an electrical piano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like, I didn't think about it, but now I will think about it when I watch the movie. Like, it's all synth.
The entire soundtrack is up on YouTube, by the way, if you guys wanna go and check it out. It's
Ooh.
very 80s.
Is there any other movie that has done this by having their entire score by one instrument only?
Maybe not.
I guess there
like
must be.
one instrument only, but I know.
Well,
I know the remake of Maniac has. I think it's mostly synthesizers.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's very 80s.
Yeah.
Nice.
Or well, 80s inspired
Yeah.
music.
Yeah, it is. Also Drive, but there's a scene where they're singing, so I don't know if that really counts. I think there are some orchestral stuff too.
But I guess those moves are very rare.
Yeah, and then there's the Bleeder.
Oh God!
Don't remind me.
We don't speak about that one.
Okay, we don't.
Well, in the Bleeder, they just used one key on the synthesizers, and they then turned up the volume on that key.
They stole it. They stole it from the Halloween 2.
Like they saw this movie and was like, instead of only using a synthesizer, what if we only use a synthesizer and one key of the synthesizer and up the alley?
The whole soundtrack is just one sample.
Yeah.
That loops.
We talk about budget constraints.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got a bunch of things here, and this is a pretty well-known slasher movie amongst fans as well of the subgenre. But I just picked out a couple of things. I found two different sources of the budget, and one says that it was $250,000. And the other one said it was $220,000. So I don't know which one is the correct one. So it was even cheaper than Friday the 13th.
Ooh.
Which had a budget of $550,000, if I remember correctly. The film was distributed by New World Pictures, and it premiered in Los Angeles on September 10th, 1982, and it was given a limited release in New York City on November the 12th of the same year. The total box office was $3.6 million, so they made a pretty hefty profit of it.
Oh.
Author and feminist activist Rita Mae Brown wrote the original screenplay, which was titled Sleepless Nights, as a parody of the slasher film, like we already talked about. But the producers, which one of them were Roger Corman, I know, repurposed Brown's script to make a quote-unquote serious slasher film against her wishes.
Oh.
Amy Holden Jones, the director of the film, was a film editor who wanted to direct, and she asked Frances Dewell for advice, and Dewell gave Jones a number of scripts, so she chose the script that would become the Slumber Party Massacre, and like you said, Zombie, it was titled Don't Open the Door. And she decided to film the first 3 scenes. Her husband, cinematographer Michael Chapman, acquired equipment and film and hired some actors from the University of California in Los Angeles, and they shot the scenes at their house over a weekend for $1,000. She showed the result to Roger Corman, who agreed to finance the film, which resulted in that Jones had to turn down a job editing Steven Spielberg's E.T. from the same year as a result. Just a side note, do you guys know who Roger Corman is?
I do not.
Nope.
He has produced tons and tons and tons and tons of films since, I think, the 60s. He has produced a lot of B-movies, like Humanoids from the Deep, and he was also involved in the sequels to the Slumber Party Massacre. He was involved in Sorority House Massacre, that franchise as well. He worked, I think he worked on the Deathstalker films as well, as a producer. And I don't know if he produced or if he directed Death Race 2000 from the 70s with Sylvester Stallone. But I know he was involved in that, and he produced the remake Death Race from 2000s, 2008 or something like that, which starred Jason Statham.
Neat.
But yeah, he has been involved in a lot of stuff. So, and we will probably cover more movies that he has been involved in.
Yeah.
But yes,
Most likely.
yeah. Another possible working title might have been The Overnight Massacre. I couldn't find sources about it being used at any point, but I've seen that it was mentioned as a working title for the movie. I don't know when it was used though. The film was released as The Slumber Party Murders in the UK due to the censorship in the country at the time. And Michael Villela, who played Russ Thorne, originally read for the role of the neighbor David Contant. But he got cast as the murderer instead.
Oof.
And footage from this film was reused in Sorority House Massacre 2 as well as Hard to Die, which is Sorority House Massacre Part 3, which is basically a spoof or riff on Die Hard, but with big booby ladies in underwear getting chased by a psychotic murderer in a high-rise building.
Nice.
Robin Steele, I think that's how you pronounce her name, who played Valerie, the neighbor, decided unfortunately to end her life in February of 1996 at the age of 34. Josef Alan Johnson, who played Neil, the guy who gets killed in the garage, he's one of the guys who peeks on the girls when they show off their assets. Went on to appear in Berserk from 1987 and Iced from 1988. Both of them are slasher movies. He passed away in June of 2020 at the age of 62. Deborah D. Liso, who played Kim, the girl who gets stabbed in the stomach, the blonde girl, you know.
Yeah.
She also appeared in Iced together with Alan Johnson. Okay, I got just a couple of more things. They are just short snippets from reviews of the film. Janet Maslin of the New York Times wrote of the film, "The Slumber Party Massacre is just the usual cavalcade of corpses, all of them dispatched by a maniac who wields a power drill. At the end of the movie, a woman has miraculously survived the carnage, breaks his drill in half. That's feminism for you, and symbolism too." Time Out gave the film a middling review, noting, despite the unlikely script credit for Rita Mae Brown, Jones's debut feature is little more than a Halloween clone, reliant on buckets of blood and sudden surprise rather than suspense. David Hinckley of the New York Daily News awarded the film 1.5 stars out of 4, noting that the performances are uneven and the special effects are not special. Variety's published review, however, praised the film. Besides its obviously catchy title, Slumber Party Massacre is an entertaining terror thriller with the switch that the staff filmmakers handle the young women in Jeopardy format. Dave Keir of the Chicago Reader also gave the film a positive review, noting its even pacing and direction by Jones. Leonard Clady of the Los Angeles Times also noted the film's pacing, writing in a retrospective that the film boasted a darkly humorous vision and a breathtaking pace. And the very last thing I got here is Dale Schenk of the Morning Call deemed the film a rousing thriller that delivers as many vicarious thrills as one could want from this sort of cinematic mayhem. And that's everything I got.
Nice. Well then.
I found a lot more than this, but if I would read everything, we would be here until Wednesday next week. So
Yeah. But before we end this episode, the next episode, what is that gonna be about, Augie? What is your pick?
no.
Oh, never mind.
The next episode is the April Fool's Day episode.
Oh, okay. Never mind me. Okay then.
The next episode will be Slaughter High from 1985 or 1986, depending on which source you look at.
Nice. And what will we play out with?
We are playing out with Ralph Jones, the Slumber Party Massacre end title. So we are playing out with the track that plays over the credits.
Okay.
And like I said,
But,
the whole soundtrack is up on YouTube if anyone wanna go and check it out.
Yeah. But then it is time to say goodbye to the good people.
Goodbye, good folks.
Goodbye, good folks.
Goodbye, good folks. Thank you for listening to the episode. Hopefully we'll hear from you in the next. And don't forget to subscribe if you like listening to our lovely voices. Bye.